Welcome into another episode of Does This Offend You? Today we talk about offense. Go figure. Getting real meta with this shit this episode. And more importantly, we talk about offense. Is it really a feeling? Is it true? Is it a choice? How offended are you right now? I know, my face is pretty fucking ugly. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching.
What do I have to say to make some money? What do I have to say to make some money? No offense.
Welcome in, everybody. Episode 6. Omid, lead us in. What are we talking about?
Hi guys, I don't know if you know me, my name is Omid, and today's topic is being offended a true feeling? You know?
Ooh. Awesome. Super
Something I get a
meta.
lot-
Super meta.
Thanks,
Yeah.
man. I tend to say a lot of things, and I feel like different people are offended at random times. Other people are not offended, and it always becomes an argument of whether or not something was offensive or not. So I figured we can just talk about this idea of being offended and where does it come from? Why is it a thing? Is it real? Or my take on it is being offended is a choice. I want to hear what you guys have to say about that. You know,
So wait, are you saying if it's a choice or a feeling?
I'm saying it's not a true feeling. I'm saying it's a choice, or I'm saying it's a feeling that people choose to have.
Interesting, yeah.
I don't think it's actually like an actual knee-jerk reaction to anything. I genuinely think that being offended is heavily dependent on the context of what is being said, but also the person who chooses. A person chooses to be offended by something.
Wow. I never thought we would get into something like this so soon. It's only episode 6, but
It's in the fucking title, Danny.
I know.
It had to come up eventually.
it's so fucking meta. Let me preface this by saying, if you don't know what we're about here on Does This Offend You, go to episode 1. I'll link it here or there. I don't know. Check out episode 1. We'll tell you what we're about. And then before you get into this, watch that. And it'll lead right into this episode. I guarantee it. Go ahead, Vlad. You were going to say something.
No, I was gonna say that. I mean, I agree with Omen on this concept of context. Context is a matter of fact in that kind of situation. Obviously, you can be a cold heart son of a bitch and really not give a crap about anything or anyone. And people might talk shit about your heritage, your religion, whatever. Just be like, cool. I'm kind of like that half the time because half the shit that goes on in the world somehow, quote unquote, connects to my background, and I'm usually just like, great, it's another day in
Which
the
one?
life.
Your Russian background or your Jewish background? I feel like both are easy targets.
I'm
these
also
days.
Armenian, let's not forget that.
Ah, so you're a big fan of
Oh.
the Turks,
Yeah,
the young ones.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, I got a whole, like I said, everything that usually happens in the world somehow, some way tends to affect me, which, I mean, at this point in my life, I just kind of tell people, sucks to suck. It's another day in the freaking life. I just kind of brush it off. There's very few things that really like trigger me at this day and age or point in my life. I don't know about you guys, and you can elaborate on that yourselves. But yeah, I think it just depends on the personality at that point and how much of a piece of shit you're gonna be.
I think there is a pandemic in this world. Not the one you're thinking about, but I think
Chlamydia.
it's... Yeah, I'm here to talk to you about chlamydia, folks. Real serious. I was just had a brush in myself. I mean, I've had it, but I also brushed up into somebody, and now they have it. So always wrap your junk face.
Not
Yeah.
me.
It's a Bush joke.
Yeah.
I like that.
So aside from the obvious thing that's spreading, another thing that seems to be spreading pretty heavily, I guess, rampantly, is sensitivity. Like, I don't know what it is about this generation. Doesn't that sound fucking old? You can guess how old I am. I don't know. Go ahead.
You're 12.
Leave it in the comments below. You're pretty close. You're only off by like 10 years either direction. But if you're like these days, I feel like everybody, and I mean like most people, are like giving themselves an excuse to be offended. They're not, I mean, you probably see where I'm going with my answer. They are not offended, but they're letting themselves be offended. So yeah, I do believe it's a choice. I think that like I don't know. I have to formulate my answer a little bit better, but like people go through life and are, I think you're given choices on a daily basis, and those affect the person you become. And even before that, maybe there's like something innate in people that causes them to become a certain way. Like you can have two people exactly the same situation yet have completely different results. So I don't know. Maybe there is something innate in people that like you are just an offended person, or you're just not like tough enough. No matter what you do, it always results in something bothering you, and you can't deal with it. I don't know. And then there are people who come along and it's like the same exact thing, and they're all just like, whatever. You know, what are you gonna do? Like Vlad over there. Like, I don't know what the answer is. Maybe by the end of this podcast I'll find out. But right now I just want to say, right now I will say it is a choice. I think you give yourself an excuse to be offended, even though you could have a stronger head on your shoulders. I don't know. You can find different ways around whatever irks you.
So what I'm seeing is more of a pattern in this world where I guess we've heard the term before, victim culture. It seems like people are always looking for a way to be the victim. I guess it's a new wave of getting attention. Back when I was growing up, which I don't even think that was that long ago, we always had this saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. That was always a thing. Nowadays, it seems like sticks and stones may break my bones, but don't you dare fucking say that or I'll kill your family and ruin your life.
Listen, words are actual murder now, okay? You need to respect that shit.
It pretty much. But it's just so funny to see how far people are willing to go because it looks like being a victim gives you status points. Like Vlad being a 6'4" white male, you don't get any victimhood. But as you said before, even nowadays you've got Russian background, you've got Armenian background, you've got a Jewish background. Those are three things that all suck. So I mean, your life is hard and I don't know what you're gonna do about it, but regardless, it's like it's really easy for what I said to offend you, but you know where I'm coming from, so that's not much of a big deal.
Yeah. What I will say is that for me, growing up as an immigrant and having my family come here from the Soviet Union when we did in '95, this place has taken a turn for the worst. I'm not going to say specifically the Bay Area, but I'm going to say just in general the country, I feel, or even society as a whole, we're kind of bored. We're really fucking bored. We're so fucking bored that we're looking for things to offend ourselves with. We have been so comfortable in the US with, essentially being privileged in this common law, common standard, appealing environment that we forgot what, starvation feels like, or real oppression of, like, literally having people threaten to murder your family constantly and discriminate you based on your religion, where you can't go to school, you can't get a certain job, you can't do a certain career path, you can't date certain people. Don't get me wrong, this country had that in the past, and I don't think anybody's going to deny that, but in today's day and age, we make it sound like this is the worst point we've ever had in history, essentially. And it's simply enough, it's becoming boredom, because I've told this to foreigners who come to visit here or are living abroad, and I've seen or spoken to in one way or another, and I tell them like how we tend to blow things up, and they're just like, do you guys do anything besides complain? Like, what are your actual problems over there? Do you guys not have food in your mouths? Do you guys have famine everywhere? Do you guys have no electricity? Do you have to run a freaking generator or use your goddamn shitty PC? Like, where are you on this? And that definitely always gives me a good wake-up call to be like, yeah, I have to appreciate where I am in life, what I have, who I'm around, where I am, because of the fact that, well, everywhere else really fucking sucks.
I think there's a correlation between economic status and your affinity for offense, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna go down that vein too. Go ahead.
Yeah, like so Vlad brings up a very good point. Like if I were to talk to some guy who's living in like the middle of like Zimbabwe or something, like his biggest fucking problems are like are miles ahead of ours, I believe. Like not to like paint like a really ignorant picture of what Africa is like, but let's just go down that rabbit hole for a second. So like just imagine going like living in a place it's like 105 degrees every day. There's no water, like, or it's like water is scarcely available, and transportation isn't really around you. Like, are you really worried about things that are like gonna minorly affect your like, like your day? Like, if someone says something just slightly awry to you, like, it's not. It like think like your perspective on what offense is or what problem is to you. The threshold is greatly increased when things like that are put into perspective. Like here, where I can just walk over to my sink and like literally this happened to me today. Actually, funny we talk about water. I wanted to put a filter on like one of my faucets, and like it wasn't the right type of filter. Like it wasn't the right type of faucet to fit my filter. And I was like, I tried for like 2 hours out of my day. I tried to fix this fucking filter, and it was pissing me off. I was like, and it upset me. I'm like, dude, why did I have this stupid faucet? Why do I have this like nice looking elegant faucet instead of one with like a thread on it where I can put my filter and get clean drinking water for myself? By the way, the definition of clean drinking water changed because I don't want tap water. I want filtered water. So I like put all this like emphasis on the stupid water filter problem where like people on the other side of the world are just worried about getting water, period. So you can see how different people's mindsets can be in class status. Like if
Well, what's interesting is that we're looking at an affinity to conflict, you know? So if you're actually struggling with something, that's going to be your problem for the day. Like, oh shit, my family's got to eat. But when you're eating healthily, you're going to school, you're enjoying your life, you're making money, you're going to the movies, whatever the hell you're doing, you're gonna find something to complain about. I just feel like people are prone to looking for problems, and when your life is easy is when you can start looking at other problems to have, like, animal rights, or
right,
or
yeah,
not having friends on social media. Like you'll find a problem in your life because I think people need something to complain about or to stress themselves out, and I don't, it's hard to see. What's really sad though is that when you make that choice to be offended, the way your physiology is altered and actually makes it harmful to you is massively impressive. Not only did you hear something, most likely heard something, chose to let it offend you, which means you let it get inside you. One, as a human being that has control over their entire self, letting somebody else control your emotions and the way you think and feel, you already lost the battle there. Problem number two is that when you are offended and you give yourself this feeling of stress, your body releases stress hormones or cortisol, and now you're releasing all these toxins onto your body, and now you're actually experiencing harm to yourself because of the way you chose to feel. Why? Because someone in the corner said that your zit looks ugly today. Or what is it? Or oh yeah, the Jews are running Ukraine. You can say some stupid shit like that, and because someone hears a trigger word Jew, someone's talking about the Jews, automatically you're gonna be like, oh, that's offensive. Well, maybe it might be offensive, but why can't it just be something stupid someone said? No, no, no. You let it get to you, and from there on, you're letting other people control your emotions and your reaction to things. You're not a person. You don't, yeah.
I mean, I'll put it for you this way: I'm human. I've had moments where random shit happens throughout the day, and something bothers me. It's not usually related to people being stupid as fuck. It's just usually just I do something dumb or I forget to do something, and it just sticks to me all day, and it bothers me. I also work in retail, and I have like with our store, we're not allowed to have freaking emotional support dogs or emotional support animals in general in the store because we sell food. It's unsanitary. They're gonna take a piss or shit, whatever. People walk in with their dogs normally, and we're like, hey, we can't let a dog in here, and they're like, normally they'll be like, oh, but it's a service dog. Sometimes you'll have some. I had this one guy who was like, can you not read? Because their fucking shitty ass dog had a shitty fucking service vest. And I'm like, I can read. But then I asked him, which am I allowed to legally ask for the company, is what's the service? And the guy started going off. He's like, you can't ask me that. Are you fucking stupid? Da, 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 da. Now, generally enough, that sort of thing doesn't stick with me all day. It'll bother me for like the first maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, because I generally like have to hold back without being able to walk over and punch that guy in the face and be like, shut the fuck up, you fat, overweight, handicapped looking motherfucker. I can't say that. I can't punch him. I have to hold back. And that irritation bothers me for like I said, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I'll probably bitch about it to somebody and then move on. But yeah, some people really are going to be all tied up in like, oh my God, I can't believe he did this or that. Or literally what he said is considered to be actual murder in the 50 states. Get the fuck over it. Grow a fucking pair of balls. Go have therapy or something. Go hit your head against the wall like I recommend our friend Steve does.
Well, they tried to have a therapy dog, but you told them to get rid of it, so...
Oh! Damn. Just unraveling your argument there. No.
What?
Listen, I don't need you to put your distressful taste on the poor animal. I need you to put it on yourself and maybe bang your head against the wall and then feel better. Because obviously you're fucked up in the head.
So you guys both touched on something in different ways, but I think animals is a word that comes to mind. So
I did not touch any animals, Danny.
Yeah, you didn't touch no
Neither
goat.
did Vlad.
you got oddly offended over
No
that
goat.
word. It really did.
No goat.
I don't know what that's
I just
about.
need to clarify, because I don't want this happening again. I did not touch any animals.
Is that on record? Is that real?
Well, it's on a podcast.
Yeah, that's right. So it's literally on record. Okay, well, he didn't do it, everybody.
Yeah, dude.
Neither did OJ.
All two of our listeners are gonna hear this and get offended.
Yeah, we're done. All right, well. Yeah, so
It was fine.
animal is the word that comes to mind here. It's really interesting that like we use them as a way to help ourselves cope, but also the fact that the irony for me is that humans are separated from animals among many factors, but also for our ability to control emotion. So the way like a dog would get offended over you like fucking like have you heard of this in like dogs? Like if you don't train a dog correctly, it'll start hoarding food or like get angry when it's not given food, or there's like a weird thing about like it the way it associates food in its life. Have you heard of this like this training, what they do with dogs? Yeah.
I have not.
Okay, so just a little bit of a side here. So like sometimes if you feed a dog and the dog, so when a dog's super young and it's like a puppy, all it wants to do is just like just eat, sleep, shit, and like it just has no control over its life. It just does things that animals do, like innate within them. And you have to train a dog out of like, if it starts protecting its food, if you don't train that out of a dog, like teaching it patience and stuff like that, when it gets older and it gets like teeth and it gets bigger, it will defend its fucking bowl of food. Like you can't get near it. It'll get angry at whoever, maybe not even the hand that feeds it, literally. And so when it's just working off nature, it wants to protect its food and its life source, it will bite people who get near the food bowl regardless, or other dogs even. So you have to like be careful of that. So when I think of being offended, I feel like people have to some degree have control over their emotions. They have to be separated from animals. And that denotes intelligence, right? You have to, in some form, not to call everybody dumb who loses their cool every once in a while. Like
They
Vlad,
are dumb.
But like you said, Vlad, we're all human. You experienced it yourself. Like everybody experiences some sort of emotion or something that irks them on a daily basis. But what separates us from animals is our ability to control that. So
It's the degree.
It is the
I
degree.
mean, I feel
I
like-
get that. But you are choosing to be offended in that sense when you let yourself fly off the rails. And if that happens constantly and consistently, then yeah, I think it's a choice. It really is. When you're just letting things happen to you, you're losing check of like you're just letting the animalistic urge.
And don't get me wrong, I know we all have bad days. I know
Yeah.
some day maybe we'll have a bad day where like some random shit really just sets you off. Maybe you just want to go and bash somebody's skull. And I get it. I've been there. I'm sure every one of this podcast has been there. Like
every day,
we're
dude.
human.
Every day.
Yeah.
You sit behind the fucking wheel of a car when you have to associate with other human beings in their cars, like you're put into the actual rat race, literally and figuratively. Watch what happens to you when you're privately in your car dealing with other people. Believe me, there's so many instances where all I want to do is just drive my car into other people. What separates me from like your average road rage, like 9 a.m. fucking worker who's just tired
Your
and sick of
nose.
life. It's yes, I can't see the dashboard because my nose is in the way. Not just that, it's also my ability to control myself. Like I'm not gonna fucking drive into every goddamn car I want to hurt. Like just the way other people drive around me fucking pisses me off. But that's it. That's the end of it. They do their own bullshit, and then I continue on with my life. I'm not
about his
yeah.
road rage story, by the way, later on.
Well,
Sure.
Well, what's interesting too is that on the same coin of being offended, I feel like if you can control that emotion of yours and to really step back from things that are said or done to you, you can gain a new perspective on things. For example, if I'm on the road and I see some guy trying to cut me off and weave, there's the jerk reaction of, oh, look at this jerk who is trying to cut everyone off. Like, wonder what they're in a rush. Maybe they're just showing off. But, then there's the other coin where it's like, you know what? I'm not in their car. I don't know what their situation is. Maybe there's a possibility that they're in a serious rush for some emergency reason. Not what they're doing is right, but maybe there's a reason that they're driving or acting that way. And until I know for certain what that is, I'm not here to judge. The only part that'll piss me off is when it's happening, but then after like a few seconds of reflection, I'll be like, whatever. Then at that point, I'll be like, nah, I'll just let them pass me. I don't really care at this point.
Sounds like some Buddha shit.
Right. So you're making a deliberate choice, are you not?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
am making a deliberate choice,
That's-
but the thing is, like, a lot of it is these choices, and I think when you said that, I don't understand what your difference between man and human is. I mean, sorry, man and animal is. But when I look at animals
Well, we
compared
are
to
animals
humans,
too, technically.
we
Yeah.
are animals. But what separates us from other animals like dogs? And I think it's the fact that animals make decisions based solely on survival, and humans make decisions based on more of an ethical place. We can make decisions to do good or bad. We can choose something that can harm our survival in order to do what we think of as right. And I think that's what will separate us from animals as a whole.
I'm gonna touch on one thing. I think that overall it comes down to the concept of patience. There's a reason why people say when you hear those like terms of people telling me, "Oh, you have nerves of steel," because you can put up with so much shit. Patience is a very important factor in this play. If you can't compose yourself and really just be like, take a deep breath, hold it, let it out, let the bullshit flow, you're gonna have a hard time in life.
I don't
And
know. I have a pretty short fuse. I don't think patience is what gets me through it. I think it's more of indifference. Not giving a shit is really the key to it, if anything.
I mean, you don't have to give a shit, but if somebody's annoying and you're just kind of like, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna strangle him right now. Like, shut the fuck up, Artie. Stop talking. You have to be patient to not do that. You have to, keep
How
it
is that
together.
related to being offended?
I'm not saying it's related. I'm saying in regards to you're saying I'm responding to your concept of just not giving a shit. Somebody talks a lot, they might be spewing some bullshit they don't care about. Cool, you can ignore that, but they're still talking. They're possibly loud. They're possibly trying to speak right into your freaking ear. So you have to patiently be like, I'm not gonna murder this person. I'm gonna take a deep breath and let the bullshit flow.
Well, why would the murdering be an option in the first place? Where'd that come
It's just
from?
a word of play. I could say
I
you
know
could
it's
choke
it's word of
somebody.
play, but the idea behind the murder is what this person is saying really bothers me, and I should do something about it.
I'm not
Does
even,
that?
it doesn't have to bother you what he's saying. It just might be his voice might be annoying. Like the
Well,
person's talking
that's
and they're just really like, let's say it's a high pitched like nasally voice and they don't stop talking. Have you ever had somebody where let's say you're
so
having a
the
headache?
basis is that you want to react to what somebody else is saying or doing, because now it went from being offended to being more of an internal problem.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's an internal problem. I just feel like it ties in multiple ways, whether it's having to restrain yourself from, knocking somebody out for saying something really freaking offensive versus having to restrain yourself from choking or knocking somebody out for just in general being annoying. They both
So
take restraint and patience.
so what is being offended? I feel like we should probably establish that first. Because, for example, a lot of people thought what Whoopi Goldberg that other day said was offensive, and I was just like, I mean, I kind of see where she's coming from. She just is an idiot. It's a stupid statement, but I'm not offended. It's just she said something stupid. A lot of people say a lot of dumb shit about, Hitler and the Jews and the Holocaust and make some very, stupid comparisons. And Whoopi Goldberg did just that. And yet, all of a sudden, I'm being told by the news that I'm supposed to be offended or what she said was offensive. I'm just like, no, I don't get why. Why would I be offended by that?
I mean, I was in the same boat with you actually when I saw that interview clip of her saying that it was basically a group of white people killing each other. I kind of laughed. I was just like, okay.
For those not on the boat, what did she say?
It was
She
basically
said
along the
that-
lines of saying that it wasn't a racial thing. It was two groups of white people trying to kill each other, so it wasn't a racist thing.
Yeah, so the Holocaust
oh,
wasn't
sure.
about race is pretty much the crux of what she said.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Because it was two groups of white people killing each other. It's not racist. So we're like,
Yeah.
do
Oh,
you not understand
good.
the philosophy
Yeah. Okay. So
behind Hitler?
I agree. You're right. Not racist. Not at all.
Yeah. I think someone needs to read Mein Kampf and get back to me on that. But hey, like I said, it's her stupidity. Now,
I laughed.
yeah, I mean, I was like, okay, I didn't laugh or anything. I just thought this is kind of stupid. But the fact that everyone is getting outraged by it is what intrigued me more, which I think is what the draw is to that story. It's just the outrage behind it.
So what about this for you then? Let me propose this. You said the word earlier, indifference. So in order to be offended, do you have to have an actual input or understanding of the matter? Because indifference kind of takes you away from the situation.
I think indifference just goes along with ego. Like I like to think of myself as, or at least I like to work on myself to be a little bit more humble. And I don't think humble means like, oh, I'm such a great guy, but I'm gonna be nice about it. Humility is more of the idea of just knowing your place and knowing who you are, having an acceptance of who you are, and just being okay with that. And I think when you have a solid grasp of who you are as a person, people who get offended, it generally comes from people that are having some form of crisis or problem with their identity in a sense, which is also ties into when you say something about someone's idea or their argument about something. When people make the mistake of tying their identity to the ideas they have, they get offended when you challenge those ideas like, hey, you know what? Trump wasn't that bad of a president. Whoa! Whoa! That hurts! What do you mean? Oh, you are the devil. You worship the devil. You conservative piece of shit. You are racist automatically. You are all of these things. You're an anti-vaxxer. I fucking knew it, you conspiracy theorist. QAnon motherfucker. But why do people react that way? And I think they react that way because they tie their opinions to their identity, which means they don't know themselves well enough, or that they have to create some kind of persona of being the only good being in the world. They act like they are the central idea of what is meant to be good in this world. So anything outside of their idea becomes evil. And then the offense comes in when you try to challenge that thought they have of what is considered good.
So there is a difference then between humility and indifference, is what you're saying.
Yeah. But I
Okay.
think the indifference comes from the humility that I might have, because I've noticed that I've just grown in indifference to what people say or do. Because I've personally experienced racism. I've experienced some dickhead chasing me around with a skateboard, threatening to beat my ass with it. I've experienced friends I've had for like months at this point, finding out I was Jewish and not talking to me for weeks. I've had people finding out I'm Jewish and they say or do things that are just so, off the cuff. Like, I remember I couldn't get into a restaurant because everything was served with pork, but you had to buy something to sit down. So I offered to buy everyone sodas, but because this was such a debacle for one of the friends I went with, they decided to stand up from the table and say, Omid, why do you have to be so Jewish all the time? Not even a joke. They said that and I was like, motherfucker, if I was being a Jew, I wouldn't have bought your fucking soda so I can sit and eat dinner with you, dick. Like, some people are just so fucking stupid, but there's a big difference between someone that says something to hurt you, or they have intention to hurt you, versus someone who just says something that's stupid. Like, it's offensive nowadays to say black people are good at basketball. Oh, you're generalizing. Fuck you. It's a stereotype that, the statistics don't deny that. but it's offensive now because you're automatically grouping a bunch of people into one thing.
Well, let me
And-
ask you this next. So this is something that we've all been seeing, the Russian-Ukrainian war going on, and
Oh, we have to go there, don't we? We just
let
have
me
to.
finish what I'm trying to say.
Okay, go ahead.
My point being is that I'm Russian, I'm also Ukrainian partially, and I'm Jewish. When that whole thing started, I was like, personally, I could give two fucks less. I literally was like, cool, kill each other. A lot of specifically Ukrainian Jews were very up in arms, posting about all this crap, trying to be like fly the Ukrainian flag and all that stuff. And I was curious. I just messaged them like, why? Why are you suddenly turning into nationalist Ukrainian? And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, first off, you're a fucking Jew. Ukraine has no love for you, me, or any other goddamn Jew in the damn vicinity. Neither does Russia. So they've massacred us multiple times. They've discriminated against us constantly. We were second-class citizens in their eyes for even now. If you go to like West Ukraine, which is like Odessa area, they're not going to be very nice to you if you're a Jew. Aside from being even racist pieces of shit to other minorities. My point being is that, and people will say, well, that's something you shouldn't be focusing on because, you know, it's a war right now and all this, and civilians. I'm like, don't get me wrong, civilians dying is wrong, and I'm not okay with that. I'm hoping, like I tell people, I hope the civilians get out of there and not hang around and actually leave their goddamn homes. Do not stay at your goddamn home. Leave the area. I don't want you to get shot or bombed. But everybody else that's kind of sticking around there trying to make an impact or something, I mean, you're signing your own death warrant. But for me, it's just kind of like I tell people, why you Jews of all people are trying to stand up for them? You have no allegiance to them. You shouldn't have to have one. I don't care if you were born there. I was born in goddamn Uzbekistan. Do I look like I give a shit about Uzbek? No. Like, they're there. Cool. Awesome. Go do your thing over there. Make plov. I'm not going to get affiliated with you. I'm also Russian, Ukrainian, Armenian, other stuff. Like, shit's happening constantly. You don't see me walking around flying every goddamn flag of my nationality and screaming like, you need to pay attention to me. If you don't, you're a racist. I don't care. I can't, personally, I know for a fact, first off, I can't really make much of a difference. Most people can't. There's just way too many power plays in motion that are basically going to make me insignificant, no matter what I try to do. But yeah, all these, like I said, specifically the Ukrainian Jews, they get so offended every single time, like, that something happens and you're like, why do you guys care? Why does it bother you?
Well, I know some that have family there.
I mean, I have family there too.
Vlad, the issue with I take issue with what you're saying is because what you're saying is that you are indifferent. And I think the first step to actually being offended is having an actual opinion on a matter. And being indifferent, I know you have personal stake in it, but the fact that you don't care removes you from the situation.
Well, that's the problem, is that they do care, and that's why I'm like, why do you suddenly care?
You know what?
But you're asking the question.
People...
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just like gonna say, like, you know how people are changing their profile picture to have the Ukrainian flag on it and shit, as if they like are. I feel like many
or
people
they know
are
where
doing...
Ukraine is on the goddamn map.
Yeah, I feel like everyone is just doing that because they want to show their support for a cause or something. But I'm out here like, where the fuck is that filter with the background being gas prices? I want to put that on my profile. Like, that actually is affecting me directly, and I feel like this needs to stop.
I'm surprised you don't.
Well, so
Tesla
there you
yet.
go. You have an opinion on a matter because you are actually deeply and personally affected by it.
I am financially affected by
So
it.
are you?
Jewish.
Are you in fact then offended in
Did
a way?
we not establish
But
that?
Then
what?
then ask yourself the question: are you offended by the gas prices? Are you offended that your
Do you
life
not
is
see
being
the kippah
affected?
he's wearing?
Yeah.
Yes, I am offended. It
Okay.
is affecting me very negatively.
So is that a choice? Like, are you like, or do you? Because now you actually care about something. You can't claim
the
indifference.
choice here?
You can't.
The choice here is the luxury of driving, Danny.
That's what I'm
No,
saying.
he's
Man,
right.
man,
Omid's
has it
right.
become
He's
a
choosing
luxury?
to drive the car. He needs to be able to power that car.
No, it's not
somehow.
about the car. It's about you. So now you're directly implicated because you are a driver and you have to spend money
He's
on gas.
choosing to drive his car.
But
he needs to be able to power his car.
Now that it directly affects you, can you just say like, I don't care about gas prices anymore, or like this doesn't bother me in the slightest?
I've always cared about gas prices. I strategically make visits to the gas station due to gas prices.
So this is what I want to talk about when we come back from our commercial break. I want to discuss when you're actually with the criteria for being offended. When you actually have an opinion on something, then what happens next? Do you control the next step after that? And I think that's very important. You know what I mean? I think we'll talk about it when we come back. Okay? Stick around for more of Does This Offend You, where we talk about being offended. See you in a minute. Does This Offend You is absolutely, definitely, and undoubtedly brought to you by this 100% totally real sponsor.
All right, so one day I was having dinner and the discussion tastefully turned to, eating ass. And it just really got me thinking of, how prepared are we to have our asses eaten? I personally don't know if I'm for it, but I'm also not completely opposed to it. But how ready I would I would not I would not want to subject anybody to my asshole. But then I thought, why would that have to be a barrier? So then I purchased a bidet, right? And let me tell you.
What the fuck are you talking about? Why do you have a pump in your hand?
Oh my god, what is happening? What is happening?
Also known as, I like to call it, a bum gun because it just rolls off the tongue. And
why? How is this an advertisement? Are you trying to advertise me?
I just think that every home should have one. I mean, I don't know if you've ever used one, but I don't think you can judge until you've actually tried one. Now, you can have either the spray setting or the shower setting. I highly recommend the spray one. And after a few uses, you'll know exactly where your bum hole is. And you'll just aim it right up there and it'll clean you out. I know people that don't own one of these, and they describe their method of making sure their butthole was clean by just putting a finger in there and going around the rim. And I thought, that is very primitive. At least, put a toilet paper in the sink, wet it, and then put it up there, and then, feel around and be clean. Or, bum gun. Plug it in. It's very easy to install. I would know because I spent the last 30 minutes breaking my toilet trying to do it, and I failed, but I will be back in there and I will have this bad boy installed, and my butthole will be clean.
Wait, you haven't even tried the product yet and you're pitching this to us?
No. I've tried it.
What is wrong with you?
I finally bought my own for my own home, but every time I visit my parents' home, that is probably the only highlight.
Oh, okay.
Is the bum guns. Now, there's two types of bidets. There's the ones you put under the seat, and there's a cannon that shoots right up your ass. But I don't like that one, because then you have to, adjust where you're sitting, and then the strength, and then it has to shoot directly at the area you want. Compared to this, where I just kind of, I reach around the back, and you kind of just spray upwards towards your bum hole, and then the water falls, and it doesn't hit the head. It's not that dirty. It cleans itself, practically. And you just get some toilet paper and you dry it up. You have a wet toilet paper right there ready to go, and you just clean it up. Now, I'm not going to tell you you should wipe from back to front or front to back. I don't care what gender you are or how you do it, but it works. It's effective. And I think if people wanted to have cleaner buttholes, and if you're trying to be ready to have your ass eaten at any moment, this is the answer.
Ladies, you heard it here first. The bum gun.
And men! And what the fuck, dude? What the back?
Oh my god.
If we don't get this video taken down, I'll be surprised.
I'd be surprised if we didn't get called up by bum gun right now, or whatever the fuck they're called. Where's the fucking endorsement money, bro? It's so lucrative. Also, the fact that you were speaking from someone, I would like to point out the fact that you were speaking from someone else's ass's experience and not your own.
Yet!
Yes.
I'm not closed-minded to it.
Oh my goodness, these commercials get wilder every week, dude. I don't understand. So yet again, please, if you are they're not even called bum gun. I don't care. If you're like a bidet supplier, send us an email or something, and then bidet. Yeah. Oh my god, it's also kind of funny that you did get a little bit offended during that whole shtick in the during the advertisement. So that brings me back to the conversation. It brings us back to the conversation here on Does This Offend You? Talking about, is being offended a choice? And now I started the podcast by saying, yes, it is. You have control over your emotions, etc., etc. But then we started talking about indifference. And the fact of the matter is, I think, to me, you can't be offended without having an opinion on something. And you can't have an opinion on something if you are indifferent. It is the void of opinion. It means you don't care. You have no input on the matter. How could anything affect you at that point?
Yeah. So if I can touch on that,
Sure, go
I
ahead.
spoke about it earlier where you're talking about having an opinion on something. I think a step further than that, I think, is when you identify with something, the offense comes from that identity being challenged. So I think when people have an opinion on something, they begin to attribute that opinion to their identity. That is when they become offended by an opposing opinion, versus part of my identity is that my family is Jewish and Persian. So if someone said something offhanded about Persian people, I'm supposedly supposed to be offended by that too. It's not my opinion. It just happens to be a part of my background and part of what's considered my identity. No, would you agree with that?
Correct. But you have to have something tying you to said issue or said offense or whatever, you know.
Right. I mean, my opinion of Iran is that it's a garbage country, so I don't really, take offense to anyone that says anything about it. But I think when you're talking about the definition of offense, it has more to do with being taken aback by something that someone said or did, right? It has to like hurt you in a way.
Correct. And now to further dissect,
Yeah.
right, to further dissect my previous argument. Now I'm, here I am. I do this every episode. Somehow, halfway through, I decide to say, hey, fuck you, Danny, in the past. Fuck you, Danny, from 40 minutes ago. I'm going to hurt your argument.
It's called growth,
Yeah,
Danny.
I've grown a
You're
lot.
growing.
I grow.
This podcast has done wonders for you.
Are you a shower or a grower?
I am a definitely grower.
If you
yeah,
look at his
yeah.
head, you'll notice that he is now a grower, thanks to Turkey.
Yeah, we'll talk
Take
about
that, Armenia.
For those who don't know,
Useless.
the last couple of weeks I've been sporting a bunch of different hats and apparently different backgrounds. Is because I got this happen to me. I'm not going to show you the whole thing right now, but I used to have hair in the first couple episodes. Not that we had any fans or anything, but go ahead, take a look back at those episodes. I had hair. I can prove it. Anyway, what the fuck was I
You
saying?
know you're
Yeah.
a true fan if you remember the hair.
Yeah, only real OGs remember it. Anyway,
Yeah.
so what the fuck was I saying? So I think to further dissect my argument. So let me ask you guys this: is your reaction to offense a representation of being offended? So we were talking about how like you have to exhibit patience or intelligence or like your reaction to something that bothers you, you do nothing about it, therefore you are not offended. But the innate, I used the word innate earlier, when you're being something innate that happens to you, like that's changed, the thing that changes or separates animal from man is how we react to something. But the fact of the matter is, if something is bothering you, you can still be offended without showing any reaction or emotion towards it, but it still resides in you. So, I mean, to then re-answer the question, is if being offended a choice? Oh my God, I think I'm changing my mind, because you can be offended without reacting to it. It's like you don't have a choice in the matter. Almost, it's like when something happens to you, it's like reaction comes second. The first thing that comes to you is just desire or something innate. Like you said, someone said something to you about like something stupid about the Holocaust and affected you as a Jew, but like the fact of the matter is that you had something. You're like, oh, that's stupid. You had something like spark within you. Your reaction is like completely sound. Like you didn't go kill Whoopi Goldberg, but like something happened to you, right?
But like let's
I don't
just take the most basic of the idea of getting offended, and let's take the N-bomb that we're not gonna say because we're not stupid.
Yeah, that's too easy for you folks.
But let's take the word. Black person saying it to their black person, it's cool. Non-black person says it, it automatically becomes an offensive term and someone needs to die for it, right? Now, I'm not saying someone always dies. I'm just saying that, like, the reaction to the word based on who says it flips like that. And what's the only difference? Who says it? So is it the word itself that offended the person, or is it everything else around it that made it offensive. And I just don't think that words, jokes, or anything is what actually offends people as much as the person chose that this is gonna be the time they're offended by something. Does that make sense?
So like, yeah, context.
Context does make a difference. And in this instance, I've just noticed that, for example, the N-bomb, people can choose to be offended by it or they can choose to not think twice about it, and it all depends on where it came from. And I think that's bullshit. Because I think if that word was actually offensive, it shouldn't be said by anyone at all. I'm going to throw that, that out there.
Some will
But
argue that it's
all
more
of
of
a
a
sudden-
cultural thing.
It is more of a culture thing, but that's also bullshit too, because now you're looking at, again, you're being selective on when you're letting things bother you or not letting them bother you, right?
Oh my god. I think you put me back on the other side of the fence, buddy. I think you just changed my mind again.
That's what I'm saying. It's a choice. It's a choice. You're being selective on what you're allowing get to
Yes.
you based on the context. Now, I mean, as a young boy, I remember thinking about it like me and my brother have different favorite basketball players, LeBron James and Tracy McGrady, for example. Anytime LeBron James did something, I could roast him for it. And anytime Tracy McGrady did something that might have been morally wrong, I always found excuses for him. Right?
Yeah.
And that is only because I felt a certain way about each of those people that I then allowed what they did either become something evil or something that was forgivable or not as evil. And I think the context plays a very big role, and you chose the context before whatever offense was made. So you wanted to be offended. You wanted to see them as evil. You wanted to feel a certain way about something, and now you're allowing yourself to let it be reinforced because you're choosing to see something in a certain way. And I think that's why being offended is ultimately a choice. After I realized that, I always tried to find excuses for even people I didn't like LeBron James. This is where I developed my devil's advocate or contrarian beliefs, is that I always tried to think, if I actually liked that guy, can I see it from his perspective and give him an excuse for whatever the hell he did? And I think you can always do that. You can always look at the light in things. But most people choose to look at the dark because it's a lot easier to get offended and it's a lot better story.
All I can really say is that at the end of the day, you can always be offended. I feel like it is something that will naturally happen whether you expect it or not. The question comes down to what happens afterwards, the question here, because if you choose to react on it, if you choose to be the one who says, fuck you, or who says, that's gonna hurt my feelings, type shit, that's where it's gonna play that role. And that's what makes you a bitch. Like, there are gonna be some, I'll put it this way, if there are certain lines I will not let you cross. Like, if you start talking about my family, like maybe a specific member of my family, I might whoop your ass.
You
Is it your
couldn't.
mother?
It could be my mother, could be my father, whatever.
Is it your uncle?
Uncle, probably not. But
Did he
anyway.
touch you again?
Oh no!
Oh
Anyway.
my god.
Ignoring that.
Show us on the bidet where he touched you. Come on.
Fuck you.
Show us.
No, but like I said, the point is that you do have the choice at the end of the day whether you're gonna give somebody the satisfaction of a reaction. That's on you. Nobody can make or take that from you.
But that's reaction.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You'll be
Yeah.
offended. You can be offended regardless.
So you're saying
your brain takes certain things in bad ways. But like I said,
right.
the offensive that people notice, where they're kind of like, "Oh, why are you being such a bitch about it?" is the reaction that you kick back. And it comes down to you to make that choice. Are you going to kick back that reaction to kind of make you look like a weakling, essentially, like a soft little plush toy, or are you going to be the guy who's like, whatever, you're a fucking dumbass, bye.
Well, yeah, that's interesting to me. That's the stance I took on to start this half of the podcast. Is that you control the reaction, but the offense comes automatically, is what you're saying.
You can be offended automatically. You unfortunately will not really have control of your body or your brain, how it reacts. What chemicals get released when something is hurt or done, you can't control. But your following response, that's what you control. That's where a lot of people nowadays don't seem to have that, like, whatever. move on, gay ability. They're just like, oh my god, what the fuck?
Right. They're quick to react because they have a medium for it. I think is an issue. I mean, we talked about technology a million times before this podcast. I don't want to go down that fucking rabbit hole again. You can watch the other previous 2 episodes. We talk about how technology affects society. Feel free to watch those. Man, I'm plugging every episode today. I'm feeling good about that.
We actually need to plug them though for this video because we forgot to put the links.
Oh, I keep forgetting to put the fucking links. Okay. Anyway, so maybe we'll touch base on it, but I feel like if we go back to Omid's analogy, it's like, so if you take the same person, N-word gets said to them, it's like their friend. Haha, very funny. Stranger says it with actual grievance, like trying to like piss someone off, hates them, and they get mad about it. What reaction is the true reaction? Like, are they choosing to be offended? So I'm asking you, Vlad. I'm directing this question towards you. Omid says that they're choosing their offense. If
it's your approach.
What I'm saying, you're saying if the offense is innate, if one guy pisses him off, that means the offense is still there, but the reaction comes second. Which version is real to you? Because
they're both going to be, it's going to be both real. But like I said, that scenario specifically, it's going to be based on the culture. If it's a black dude telling another black dude, "Hey, what's up?" Da da da. Normally saying they're probably there, and he says in a positive type of manner, like you can read it psychologically when it's negative versus positive. It'll be on good terms. If somebody comes over and says, "Hey, fuck you, so and so," like that, like it's a totally different storyline.
So if you called me a little, like if I called you a little bitch, Vlad, me, your friend, like actually we probably did it up today a million times.
We do it all the time.
Yeah, if I called you,
How often are you guys doing it? How come I'm not invited?
Because you're too easily offended.
I have the cleanest asshole out of all of us here. That's offensive. Fuck you guys.
Oh my god.
Rude.
So in
You guys just have no class, really. That's what's happening.
Do you shave your balls?
I have no ass.
I'd consider it if I was ever invited to the party.
Well, next time we have a ball shaving / bidet party, we'll invite you.
Bidet.
That's all done before the party, but if you guys want to do it together and then head out, I'm game.
It's like Blue Mountain State where they were all in the shower with their ass cheeks covered in shaving creams, shaving off the hair.
I just like to stay on track one episode, just one.
No!
So
you don't get to do that.
I just rewatched that whole series last week. It's a great show.
Nice. It's a freaking classic. Especially with the guy who played Thad Castle's now Reacher.
Yeah. He is Reacher. I can't take him seriously.
Nice.
Get out of my room! Get out of my room!
Okay,
I love it.
gentlemen, may I interject with the episode's topic if you don't mind me interrupting?
Why are you offended right now or something?
No, I'm just like for the sake of time. I don't know.
Yeah.
So what was I saying? So I call you a bitch, Vlad, and you laugh about it. Some random guy on the street calls you a little bitch, calls you out. Are you gonna get mad? Are you mad at them? Are you gonna beat them up?
Depends on the guy.
Your mother's a bitch, Vlad.
Probably gonna come over and say something back. Yeah, I'll probably be like, "Hey, you like your teeth?"
So, what do you harbor in your heart? Does the word bitch offend you naturally? So every time I say to you,
I mean,
okay, so that
there's a different look. Psychologically speaking, you know when somebody's messing with you versus when somebody's being serious with you. It's also a difference between when you have somebody that you know very closely as a friend or something saying it to you versus some random motherfuckers at the nightclub saying it to you, which you have no idea who the fuck they are and what the fuck they know about you for you to, it's different.
Right, but the context just changes, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, let's also think about this. What if someone you respect call you a bitch? Someone you look up to calls you a bitch. Then how do you feel about it?
That might break you.
That could break you. Why?
Because if it's somebody that you respect, like let's say it's a mentor.
Yeah.
Mentor's literally turns around one day like he's like, "Listen, bro, you're a fucking bitch."
Now, is that considered offensive, or do you consider it as just like you take it for face value? Like, if the person I respect is saying that to me, it must be true. It must mean something. And from that point on, I think you're looking at a difference between challenging your identity, knowing your identity, and then altering your identity. Would you
I think it varies
agree?
on the person. Some people might
I'm
take
just
that-
saying the context will vary the way you take that same criticism. Like, if either of you called me a bitch, I wouldn't care. If someone I look down on calls me a bitch, I wouldn't care. If it's someone I don't like calling me a bitch, I mean, I guess I wouldn't. I'm just indifferent to that word in general. But if a criticism in general, if it's something if I'm being criticized by anyone, if it's somebody that I look down on, I won't think twice about it. If it's somebody that I see as an equal, I'll just be like, whoa. I'll be taken aback and, challenge it or try to see like what the origin is.
Are you competitive?
If someone looks up to me, or if I look up to somebody and they say it to me, totally different meaning. All of a sudden, I'm looking at myself and having an existential crisis at that point.
I mean, if that, like I said, I can see where you're coming from. I have a guy that I use that's kind of like a mentor for me, and every time we used to meet up before the time, we would talk about philosophy and all this stuff. And sometimes he's wealthy, very wealthy. I'm not.
Sometimes he's wealthy, or he's not.
No,
He's always
sorry,
wealthy.
He's always wealthy. I'm saying it. Sometimes we'd meet up to talk about things, and like I said, he is wealthy. I'm not, obviously. And we would talk about some sort of scenario, and his response would be like, "You have a poor man's mentality. You would never understand it." And that's something that kind of bugged me because I'm kind of like, what's the difference between me having a fucking crap ton of money in the bank account versus me not having that much money? That kind of stuck with me. I wouldn't say it was offensive. It was just something that kind of just resonated in my head, kind of like, what the fuck you mean by that kind of thing. It kind of threw me off, if that makes sense. I wouldn't call it offending somebody, but it threw me off. And it's from a mentor. I feel like, but it also depends on the mentor. Some people are going to be a lot more like harsh with you. Some people are going to be very kind. I feel like if you're one of those people who has a very kind mentor for the majority of your experience with them, and they just out of nowhere like, you're a fucking bitch, that might hit you a bit harder. I think it depends on the relationship between those people, how they've interacted in the past before that term was uttered.
So it's contextual.
Yeah.
So now you're saying it's not innate. It depends on the situation.
I mean, you can be, like I said, you can be insulted. It depends on how you can choose how you react.
Okay, so the insult is still present in any given situation.
Of course, if somebody says, like, if I go right now and say, Danny, I think you're short, you might be like, fuck, but you'd be like, whatever.
What if I went, Danny, I know you're short?
I'd be inclined to agree with you. I am below the average male height on the planet, so.
Because you've accepted
No,
your
but like
identity.
My point being is that it might not feel good to hear that, but at the same time, you're not choosing to be like, well, fuck you guys, I'm not your friend anymore.
Yeah, there is a spark in me, man. There's something that bothers me. Of course, it bothers me every time I realize the fact that it's like a shortcoming. But got him. But yeah, see, but I laugh about it and I joke.
Your height challenge.
Thank you. Yeah, I laugh and I joke about it because ultimately it's like it's not a concern on the grand picture. There's like a cosmic entity that surrounds everybody. It's like I don't care if I'm short. Like it's not gonna.
Right,
it's
because you're a little speck in this world.
I guess so. I mean that also kind of feeds into indifference. But to bring it back down, it's. Yeah, see, Vlad's turning the argument. I'm sitting here being torn between my friends because it's like, ow, someone says I'm short, and like I choose the way I react to it. And no, I'm not, I guess, offended. Now I'm laughing with you guys about it, and I know it's the truth, and it's not offensive to me, although it does bother me to a very minuscule extent, no matter what context it's in. So is that feeling offense? Or what is that?
You could call it offense. Obviously, it's a stinger for some. For different people have different soft spots. But my point being is that what matters is not the fact that something bothers you on a minuscule scale. It's how you react to it.
So is it a choice then?
It is a choice. That's what I'm trying to say.
What?
You have the choice on how you act on this.
Not the action.
So you're saying that being offended is not a choice, but your reaction is a choice.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Your offended reaction is the choice.
That's how I started this half of the podcast, but I've been torn between both of you pretty constantly this whole time.
If you want to get torn up by us, you should purchase a bidet.
Oh my God,
and
stop!
I will
Stop!
tear that ass up.
Stop!
But
plugging.
not until it's clean.
The fact that it also sounds like chains makes me worry.
I'm not plugging the bidet. I'm trying to plug you, Danny.
Another butt joke within a butt joke. I love it. God damn. Okay, so all right. God, Oh, well, how do we
Wet.
answer this question? I have
Wet.
so many.
Wet.
How do we do this?
Wet. I literally just said you can be offended naturally. You can't control what your body feels, but how you react and respond will be your choice comes down to will you be offensively reacting?
Which I agree with. It's very your reaction to this world. It will dictate your perspective and how you live in this world.
Yeah.
Dictate.
Did I say dictate?
Stain.
Did I say dictate, or are you just like
Dictate.
are you just throwing in more butt
Dick
puns
and a taint.
or whatever?
I think my mind is in the gutter right now.
It's in. Oh my god! It's in the bidet.
So is the bidet.
God damn it. Okay, so
Omid is horny.
are you guys losing it right now? Do you want to call it quits, or do you want to keep talking? Because I honestly,
I mean, I think we've pretty much settled the case at this point.
well,
unless he has something to bring up.
I hate to say this because I know we're down. You guys are losing your shit right now, but you might be tired. But can I?
But yeah, it'll be clean. I'll tell you that much.
Yes.
Jesus.
Oh my god! Can I just please introduce the technology argument into this episode?
I already introduced technology, baby. Bidet.
What technology do you want to introduce, Danny?
I just think in this day and age, the being offended is just as easy as turning on your phone. I don't think people are tough anymore. I think the threshold for being offended has become it's a non-factor. It's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree, but
It's
also
yeah.
it's what's also as easy is reacting to the offense and choosing to
Right.
react with that emotion versus
I think
sitting
react
back.
out of logic.
Yeah, it's allowing that emotion to take you over and change the way you think and act beyond that point.
Exactly.
I think that's the real problem. Because as we can all agree that the only thing you control in this world is your reaction to things, and people are choosing to react in a way that is harmful.
Exactly correct. No matter what side of this argument you fall on, Vlad, Omid, or maybe you're just as confused as I am. I
Or I am.
oh my god, stop it.
Christ.
No matter
Stop what? I'm just agreeing. I'm confused.
I will cut you out of this
Danny.
episode completely, and Vlad and I will be reacting to nothing. I'm just gonna put like a picture of a dog or something in wherever you are.
Put a picture of a bidet.
Yeah.
Don't be mad at me. Because I have props.
A bidet. What's the difference between a bidet and Omid? Nothing. They both clean assholes really well. Oh my god. Okay. So
They both spit hot fire.
Jesus
Oh, wait,
Christ. So I want to say this. Yeah. This day and age, it's kind of how we started the argument. Everyone has, when you have this little thing in your hands, or you have this thing in front of you, this computer or whatever.
This little
This-
thing in my hands.
You're also bored.
Your boredom's part of it. Yeah. So, but it comes back to how this episode started. It's like you have a lot of time in your hands, and you have this little device that gives you just the world on it.
Yes, it does.
I can show you the world.
All the things that you love, but also inadvertently, all the things that will piss you off exist right here, right on this fucking thing.
Shimmering buttholes.
And I am gonna mute you guys during this whole segment. So, I will. Yeah,
Tell
Tell
know
me,
where I'll
Daddy.
I'm losing track of this episode. I'm losing track of you guys. You guys are officially lost it. So, I just want to leave you guys with this then. If you guys have officially lost your minds this episode, I am sorry for all those who actually wanted to listen to more of us talk. I don't know why you would, but just think about this. When you're on your phone tonight and you're scrolling through the immense amount of data that goes and hits your
Don't
fucking
Google
senses, don't Google bidet. That's all we ask. No,
Yeah,
but
just
this is-
Amazon it, and it's like $20, $30 if you want the bum gun.
I want you all to think to yourselves, does it really matter? Does it matter to you, or are you just finding an excuse to get that heart rate up, to give yourself some sort of stimulation?
Oh man, am I
stimulation
getting
all day.
stimulated? You let me tell you about that stimulation.
No, but really, it's all about stimulation. It makes them feel good, makes them feel important. The victim card, they get a bit of attention. I don't like attention. I don't know.
Just because it exists doesn't mean you have to have input on it. It doesn't mean that it has to go out to the world.
Yeah,
and somebody
so if
has
you don't know
to
shit
hear
about
it.
Ukraine, so shut the hell up.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, you listening right
Stop
now?
virtue signaling. You sound like a dumbass.
Sure, you very well could. But you watching right now, it's okay. It's okay. Whatever.
No, it's not okay.
It is.
No, it's not. Gas prices are out of control, Danny.
You voted for this shit.
I didn't vote for
Not
it.
you.
And that's the heart of the episode, my friends. One, it's like someone you're mad. You can either be Omid over there pissed off about gas prices, or you can be Vlad saying, "Well, fuck you. You voted for this. You chose this." All right. So that's it. That's what you get, folks. Here at Does This Offend You? You know what? We are happy for you watching and listening to us, but at the end of the day, we can't control your emotions so much as maybe you can't even, but you can control your reactions. So, given
And you
that,
can control how clean your butthole is.
yes, you can. So, considering both those things, give us a reaction. Tell us how you feel in the comments. Like, subscribe. Tell all your friends how offended you are by us. Because
And send nudes.
and send nudes. Yes, thank you very much.
Please don't. Unless they're clean.
Yeah, because you might offend somebody that likes to use bidets. I don't know. Maybe your asshole's too dirty for him.
It's not offensive. It's just an easy fix. And
Oh
you
my
didn't even put
God.
in the effort.
Jesus Christ. This might be the worst episode by far, and it's the one that represents us the most. That's the problem. It's so ridiculous. We might have to do a round 2 on this, folks. Okay.
Bidets.
Yeah. Let me say it one more time. Thank you very much. We do appreciate your patience with us. I really do think we have something special here. If this episode has set you off in a way and you are offended, perfect, because you should keep watching, because you will like what we have. Also, watch the last 5 episodes. Plenty more of that stuff. So, from every one of us here at Does This Offend You, Vlad, Omid, myself, Danny, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your patience. And please, if you did like this episode, like, share, subscribe, tell us in the comments how offended you really are. Next week, we talk about bidets, because apparently we didn't talk about it enough this episode. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.
Also, if you use a bidet, feel free to comment below and let everyone know how amazing your experience
Give us your
was.
review.
You heard him, folks.
All the view. Wink, wink, if you know what I mean.
Oh my god, this is terrible. See you next week, folks, or not. Whatever.
Does